Hello and welcome to the MMP Bros film review videos on here on YouTube. Hey, listen. So we've got a great episode for you today, guys. If you're new, welcome. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. Just a little introduction. So my name is Phil. I am the P in MNP, and
I'm the M, not the P, because I'm Mike.
and so we are MMP Bros, and what we like to do here on this channel is watch some videos, watch some movies, and then review them. But we have a very interesting and kind of unique movie rating system that if you're new here, we'll explain to you. And Mike, please explain to the viewers our movie review rating system.
So we've explained it before in our previous videos, but for those of you who may be new, our unique rating system is based on the Lord of the Rings rings, and that is how we determine levels of movies. Is it a good movie, great movie, one ring to rule them all, or is it a bad movie? And in today's case, we've universally agreed that we watched a bad movie. But how bad is that bad movie? And the way to explain how we're going to be rating that is that our human rings, the 9 human rings, are basically even money. They're 0 and positive. But our dwarven rings, since they delved too deep into the earth, are negative. But, so just keep in mind that they are in basically negative ratings, so that 1 being it's a good bad movie, right? 7 being it's a terrible movie from the 7 Dwarven Rings.
Mhm.
So just keep that in mind, because it may be a little confusing if we give it 7 Dwarven Rings and you think, oh, that's a good bad movie. No, it's a bad movie.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. It's like negative numbers, right? The further
Yeah.
negative we get, the worse the movie is.
Right. And with that in mind, we are going to be reviewing today, Phil, Big Trouble in Little China.
Oh boy.
This is a John Carpenter film. It's directed by John Carpenter. It came out, I should say, in 1986. So it is everything 80s. It is bad neon lighting. It is cool cars, but also everything that was pretty much cheesy back then is still cheesy now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. It's got the great 80s music. It's got some cheesy, combat scenes, kung fu, karate, Asian martial arts style.
It is everything great with wire fu.
Yeah, wire
fu, baby.
Yeah. But forewarn you, there's some stereotypes in there as well about Asians, and but we won't delve into that.
A little bit?
A little bit. A lot of it. But yeah, no, Mike, you want to give a quick summary of what the movie's about, and then we'll talk about some scenes, and then we'll get to the review.
Yeah, so this movie is about primarily follows the character of Jack Burton. Jack Burton is a rational, wisecracking, long-distance trucker, and he finds himself in Chinatown in San Francisco. And when he decides to help his friend, spoilers, no spoilers, it's a review, you know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
He tries to help his best friend, Wang, free his captured fiance, and through this adventure, shenanigans ensues, and eventually, obviously, Jack Burton and his friend Wang save the day, save the girls, because there's multiple girls, not just one.
Mm-hmm.
And, he rides off into the sunset like a classic 80s hero. And that's pretty much the summation of the movie.
Yeah, no, that's a great summary. Things happen, it gets wacky. There's a whole bunch of plot points that are just like thrown at you and yelled at you and explained it to you in various fun fashions, and then
or not explained at all.
Or yes, exactly, not explained at all. And then Jack Burton, played by Kurt Russell, just walks off into I wouldn't really say the sunset because I think the ending it's like him.
They thought they were gonna make another movie,
Yeah.
and it ends in a way that it's like a little bit of a cliffhanger, but it's clear that this movie was never gonna be uh followed up with, and it's still fun. It's bad, but it's still fun.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's start off with the beginning of the movie. I think the one of the first major scenes is the airport scene. I think that
Oh,
one.
we're gonna go that quick.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Wow. What scene did you want to
I
start
don't know. I was gonna talk about the gambling, because that's how Jack Burton gets involved with all of the
Ah,
shenanigans.
okay, yeah. You could start off with the gambling. So
Right?
okay.
So basically the first real major plot point is Jack Burton gets to San Francisco with his truckload of goods. Um and he ends up at this Chinese market gambling and drinking with his friend Wang.
Hmm.
Wang is played by Dennis Dunn,
Hmm.
and they have a night of drinking and fun. They're gambling, but Wang gets a little too involved in the gambling because he needs the money to then save the girl or buy the girl passage or whatever. It doesn't really explain
Yeah,
it,
it's this Chinese mail order bride that's coming to America. Yeah,
basically. And he needs the money, but he loses the money to Jack.
yeah.
Jack, having no sympathy at all for his friend, says basically, "Screw you, give me my money." Wang says double or nothing, which then prompts Jack to have to basically uh, not let Wang out of his sight at all because he knows Wang's not good for it.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, they get together and then uh, they do like this weird Chinese foo thing with the bottle where Wang attempts to cut a bottle in half with a butcher's knife
Mhm.
and it doesn't work. And then he says stuff in like mystic arts or emotional like clarity or it makes no sense.
Mhm.
And then he goes, "Oh, that's why I didn't cut the bottle."
Yeah, yeah. He brings up the fact that there will be mystical magic in this movie, which you're just like, what? Okay,
Mhm.
maybe. And then also in that scene, Mike, where he catches the bottle, because this harkens back to the end of the movie, and we'll talk about this later. Jack Burton goes, he grabs like the bottle flies at him and he grabs it and he goes, "It's all in the reflexes," which you're just like, okay, like why would you say that? Like, good catch. I don't. Um, but it'll come back later, which I enjoyed. Um, so then after we have this scene, right now Jack,
Guess the airport.
yeah, they go to the airport because he can't let Wang out of his sight, right, and he's got to make sure that I guess his fiance, who's coming from China, Miao Yin, right, played by Susie Pei, they come in and this whole scene is just like, it's got like the dramatic music, the synth playing, because it's like these Chinese gangsters are like also scoping out these people coming in from China.
Yeah, because they're clearly gonna kidnap somebody.
Yeah, they're there. And then we have this like fun little fight scene at the beginning. But it doesn't really, I mean, it's more of like a chase / fight scene. And then what ends up happening is the other female protagonist in this, Gracie Law, played by Kim Cattrall. I think I spelled
Cattrall. I think it's Cattrall.
Yeah. She's also at the airport. Who also, by the way, you find out is like intimately involved in China, like Little China in San Francisco as a lawyer, which they make clear multiple times throughout the movie that she's a lawyer.
Well, her last name is Law, Phil.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
lawyer character.
Right on the
80s?
nose. Right on the nose.
On the nose.
Yeah. So she's picking up a friend at the airport who's also coming from China. And they have this weird skirmish where she kind of prevents her friend getting kidnapped, but then Wang's fiance gets kidnapped because what we find out is that these guys are looking for females with green eyes. And then there's a chase scene. They take her, and then they start they're like, we need to follow her, and Wang's like, I need to get my wife, and so they follow her or follow them, and
the whole time this is happening,
semi-truck.
not to cut you off,
Yeah.
is Jack Burton is making like offhanded comments. Like, it's not breaking the fourth wall, but it's literally what everyone watching this is thinking. Like, why are we doing this? what are we doing? This is so dumb. Please don't tell me to go down this alleyway. So we end up down this alleyway.
Yeah, actually, that's a great point, Mike, because that happens throughout the entire movie.
Entire movie.
It's literally Jack Burton's character as like the only like he's literally watching this and going, "Why would I ever do any of this?" And then the movie goes into like some explanation as to why this mystical thing is about to happen, and he just goes, "Okay," and then just keeps going with it, right? Like,
Well, not even just that. Sometimes he goes, "What? That doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
What? Magic? What do you mean magic?"
And then so after the airport, they chase the chase scene with the semi truck, and they find themselves back in Little China in an alleyway. And like I was telling you, Mike, this is probably as far as I got as a kid, having watched this movie so many times. Only the beginning though is this famed alleyway fight scene, which is just, I mean, it's everything you'd ever want and more.
It is wire fu to the max. It is like every stereotypical like gang fight from a Chinese like martial arts movie, and it even has like people like it would be like stereotypical Chinese people thinking what stereotypical like cowboys are. Because there's a character with a gun belt and dual revolvers, and he's like shooting guys in this funeral procession because that's what like his thought of like a Western cowboy would be.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
Yeah.
It's glorious.
Yeah, it's fantastic, and that whole scene just plays out perfectly in my eyes as like they're shooting, and then they go into this mass melee, and then obviously the magical ninjas or magical martial artsmen have to show up,
Right.
and we get to introduce to some fantastic characters. I mean, I don't know.
It's over the top ridiculous.
Yeah.
What are they called? They're called the Three Storms,
Hmm.
and uh they're thunder, rain, and lightning. Thunder is played by Carter Wong, rain is played by Peter Kwan, and then lightning is played by James Pax. And if I'm not mistaken, in the 80s, these three were very well known uh martial arts martial art actors in China.
Hmm.
And they somehow got roped into this shenanigans of a movie. And you could tell because when they introduce themselves, they're actually doing like their martial arts forms that they're actually well known for.
Hmm.
But it's like in this ridiculous movie. So they're like super serious, but like the seriousness of the movie is like down here.
Yeah. I mean, you could tell the moment where that guy comes out and he's got like little hands on his hands and they start spinning furiously. You're just like, this is fantastic.
So they do this battle in this alleyway, and you're sitting there going, "What? How else? How more ridiculous can this be?" And then the main antagonist shows up, and his name is David Lopan in the movie, and that's played by James Hong,
Mhm.
who most of you would know from various other roles. He's always an elderly Chinese man in the movie or like a mentor figure.
Mhm.
James Hong um, is also in movies like like Kung Fu Panda. He played a character in that. He was the duck,
Mhm.
the duck in Kung Fu Panda.
Yep.
So if you're just familiar with that voice, but he plays David Lopan in this movie, and he's like a wizard with pale skin, and they run his ass over in the truck, and he gets mad because he stood in front of the truck, and then he's mad that the truck hit him.
Yeah, like any person would be.
So it keeps going, and I don't want to belabor this one alley scene, but the movie goes on. They're getting chased by the bad guys, and it's one of those things like any rational person at this point would go home. You watch people kill each other in an alleyway. There's magic flying around. There's this ghost guy, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna go back to my friend's Chinese restaurant and make a plan.
Yeah. Well, they have to go back because the only way to further the plot is then to have, Wang's father explain how, oh my God, David Lopan is here. Like, he's like this mystical person back from China, and the Wing Kongs or the Wing Kings or whatever their name is for their Chinese
It was,
gang.
it was the Wing Kong,
The
yeah.
Wing Kong, right,
Yeah.
is like is helping him because he and like somehow he just knows like the goal of David Lopan.
And he never told his son this.
Yeah, never. Never. And then Gracie Law shows up, obviously, and then also like the maitre d of the restaurant, who like also plays a role in the movie.
Oh yeah, I forgot about him.
Yeah, he kind of comes in and he's like, "Hi, I'm the new maitre d." Okay. Um, and then they're basically on a mission to go save Wang's fiance. I think there's like they go to
They go to a brothel.
They go to a brothel. She gets like further kidnapped, right? Because like she's already kidnapped by the Wing Kongs, right? Who are working for David Lopan. But then the magical martial artsmen also like destroy the brothel that's owned by the Wing Kongs. That's I guess technically also owned by David Lopan. So like it's just like whoa, why are you destroy? Like they
Yeah,
literally
he
destroy the brothel.
he had to make a grand entrance, destroyed the roof, and then stole the girl who was already kidnapped.
Yeah, it was already in their possession. Like, she could have just got brought straight to David Lopan. Instead, they bring her to the brothel.
To have it destroyed.
Yeah, which is, it's funny. I think it was like they were trying to like up the stakes throughout the movie. And I think at first they were just like, oh, she's going to get sold into like sex slavery. And then they're like, no, never mind. We're actually going to marry her off to this mystical, like, half demon guy who doesn't have a flesh. We'll get that later, but just wait, it gets crazier.
So they re-steal Wang's fiance, and then they all go back to the Chinese restaurant to make a new plan.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
Well, first, before they make the new plan, they have to get explained further, like why they continue to kidnap her, and then the mystical sorcerer who you meet for like a moment at the beginning of the movie where he's like the tour guide of Little China in San Francisco.
That's another mystical guy. There's two mystical guys. We forgot the first mystical guy. The tour guide. The tour guide's another mystical guy.
No, that's the same guy.
No, it's two separate guys, Phil.
No, I'm pretty sure the tour guide at the beginning is Egg Shen.
That's Egg Shen, but that's not David Lopan.
No. Oh, sorry. I see what you're saying. Yes, the mystical tour guide at the beginning is also a sorcerer who's also a magical guy but he's on the good side. He's a good guy.
But he's a good sorcerer.
Yeah.
David Lopan's an evil sorcerer.
Yeah. Sorry.
And they've apparently, you find out at this restaurant now when what's the actor's name? Victor Wong, who plays Egg Shen, is another magical character that's been fighting Lopan for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But it's not told outright. It's like alluded to. And he keeps saying stuff like, I've lived too long, or I've been at this too much, or I just want to take a vacation, is one of the lines he says. And you find out that, like, oh, they've been at it for centuries, apparently, and nobody thought, like, to say anything.
yeah. It's kind of crazy, like, how it kind of plays out. But then we go to this further explanation, which is we need to go find her again. And I think we're skipping a couple of parts, but I think it's not critical to the movie. But then the Wang King's enemies, who are also the good guys, so there's also a good guy street gang. They like team up with the Egg Shen sorcerer and the two, Wang and Jack Burton and Gracie Law. And they're like, okay, now we're gonna go break into like David Lopan's main headquarters, right?
Right, but remember, they break in twice. Right? The first time they get captured, and then the second time they break in again.
Ah, that's right. Yeah.
Right? So it's like, why didn't you just break in the one time? Right? So they break in the first time, and they go through this explanation of like, Chinese people have a lot of different hells, right? There's like a boiling dragon and an upside down drowning hell, like just like different hells. So when they get captured, they keep going through different hells that make no sense because like why do they have this in this building? it's like a flooded pool with hanging corpses, and then there's like a pit. There's like a furry demon thing running around that you see like shadows of until it finally like appears in another scene.
Hmm.
Uh, and then one of the main like martial art enemies. What's the word I'm looking for? They weren't the Furies.
The
I
Three
just said it
Storms.
earlier. The Three Storms. Thank you. One of them has like an expanding body when he gets mad. So like Jack Burton's being all like, snarky and giving comments to him, and he just starts like puffing up, and you're like, what is he doing?
Great question.
What? Why are you blowing up? Is it? I don't get it.
I don't know. I guess it's a way to move a plot where you don't have to worry about three magical martial artsmen at the end of the movie.
Well, there's not even three. One of them isn't in the movie for half the movie.
That's true. Yeah, one of them like kind of disappears. So you're right. They go in the first time, right? And as they're escaping, getting out, right? This magical that you alluded to it before. This like hairy monster kind of like just pops out of a wall and kidnaps Gracie Law, right? And because guess what? She also has green eyes. And then they're like, oh no, we lost Gracie, but we saved all of these
Other kidnapped women.
other kidnapped women, yeah. And then they're like, okay, now we need to go back, but this time we're gonna go in back a different way, which is through what did they call it? They didn't
It
even
was like the bog of trees or
the
something.
bog of underdead trees or yeah, you're right, something like that. But they never explained that.
So just for context, it's like an underground passage to everywhere in Chinatown. But they never once explain that that's what that is. They just go, "Oh, we'll take this route into Lopan's secret underground base that we've always had that you didn't need to go into the front door previously." So it's like, what? Why? But I will say, Phil, the underbog or whatever it's called has my favorite scene in the whole fucking movie, or in the whole movie,
Mhm.
and that's the dude. It will not come out no more. Right? So, for those at home who have never seen this, which I doubt you have because it's an '80s movie, they're walking through like it looks like sewers, but apparently it's like a mystical place. And there's a hole in the wall, and a demon or a beast or whatever comes out of this wall and grabs one of the random gang
Yeah,
members who
completely
are
eats him.
helping them,
Yep.
and like he's gone. And then Egg Shen throws like a flashbang almost into like the hole, and he goes, "It will come out no more." And then Jack Burton, who's speaking for everyone watching this, goes, "What'll come out no more?" Like nothing is explained. Like, what is this? It was just like one of those moments that I laughed so hard because Jack Burton is saying exactly what I'm thinking. What just happened? Why?
Hmm. Yeah, no, that great scene. It's, I don't even know what else to say about it. But then we get to the climax of the movie, right? So
Yeah.
they get into the temple, and this whole time, David Lopan has been explaining that he needs to marry a woman with green eyes to gain his flesh back because he wants to be human again. Which I don't know, as an immortal, I guess that kind of makes sense. You want to be human, but it also makes him vulnerable, which we've come to find out. And then they go to the wedding ceremony, which is in like the craziest. So let's set the scene, right? They are, I don't know, let's say, because they've gone down a lot, they must be like a couple 100 feet underneath the ground. And this room has a huge skull in it. It's got neon lights throughout and
You gotta have flair.
and an escalator. Like, what? Why? um, and they go through this marriage ceremony where Jack Burton and Wang and Egg, and they all make it in. They're all like waiting. They're like, "Whoa, let him marry her, so he comes of flesh." Um, and then this starts this epic fight scene. What were your takes on that, Mike?
This is the most ridiculous fight scene ever. Because like he said, there's an escalator in this like underground marriage chamber for whatever reason, and they're all like jumping around like it's wire fu, complete wire fu. But the whole like leading up to this point, Wang has been like just a unassuming, not very physically dominant kind of character. And it's clear like throughout the whole movie they're like, "Oh, he can't really fight. Like he can't really defend people or, save his girl. That's why Jack Burton's there." But Jack Burton starts watching Wang fly 30 feet in the air, doing flying kicks and backflips and running off walls, and you're like, where was this the whole movie? Nothing ever happened before that indicate that he could do this.
Yes, but Mike, we forgot the scene right before at the bar in which they drink the magic potion that makes Wang like the martial arts master.
Yeah, right. Because the elixir or whatever they drink basically gets them high. And there's a really funny moment that Phil noticed that I hadn't noticed. They're all in the elevator heading down into this chamber, and one of the guys is rubbing another guy's shoulder, and it's like they're all high. They're all blitzed out of their mind, and they're about to go fight these other people.
Yeah. So they do this fight scene, and I think we can get to the end, right, where obviously David Lopan, the bad guy, he gains his flesh back, and he tries to run away with his now fiance, Miao Yin. They chase after him, and there's some more epic fight scenes where like the three storms basically kill themselves. It's basically how it works. And then Jack Burton, being Jack Burton, again, and I harken back to what I said at the beginning of this video, goes, it's all in the reflexes, because literally just like throws a knife at David Lopan, and David Lopan's like, "Oh, you stupid idiot, I'm gonna throw it back at you." He throws it back, grabs it, and then throws it back right into his head again.
Killing Lopan.
Yeah, killing Lopan. So, and then it's kind of like happily ever after, except Jack Burton goes, "No, I don't want happy ever after. I'm Jack Burton. I'm gonna leave you all."
I'm gonna ride off into the sunset on my truck, which, like, the whole movie, he's like, "Where's my truck? Where's my truck?" And then they finally find the truck at the end, and that's how they escape, right? So they drive out of a garage, and then it bursts through. They're back on the street, and they're at the restaurant celebrating, saying, "Oh, thank you, Jack. You're so much helpful. Gracie Law wants Jack to stay, but Jack Burton's a road warrior, and nobody can hold him down." And he gets back into his truck and then leaves, right? As well as how do you call it? Egg Shen, he like walks off into like some mist, and it's like my work is done. I'm gonna go back to wherever I was going, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the end of the movie. And mind you, all of this, and there's a love element. Jack Burton hooks up with Gracie Law and all this other stuff. Mind you, all of this happens in 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
They don't go to sleep. There's no new day. They just met, had to fight all these demons and storms and whatnot, and then they just leave.
It's fantastic.
And that's the end of the movie. And they also they kind of thought they might make more money than they did, because they kind of left it open-ended, because that fuzzy creature we talked about earlier ends up in the back of Jack's truck, like hitching a ride, and it's like an evil laugh kind of like permeates the end of the movie. And it goes to credits, and you're just sitting there like, oh, okay.
Yeah. The same feeling you have for the rest of the movie. Just like, what?
Yep.
Okay. So now that we're done, we get to the review portion, Mike. I know we discussed this a little bit before, but I think we're in the same ballpark. I think this movie is a Dwarven Ring style movie.
That's why I picked it,
Yeah.
just so that we can get the 1, 2, 3 from the first video and the second video.
Yeah. But I think it's a great Dwarven movie.
It's fun.
It's a fun movie to watch. There are theatrical elements of it, like the fact that Jack Burton is constantly harking back to like what everyone who's watching it is like, what is going on, and that's a part of the movie. And I think there's like some crazy parts where like they like explain things in the weirdest ways, where it's just like someone mentions something and then someone yells out just like a splatter of information about like, oh, some mystical Chinese thing. I thought it was fantastic.
I agree. It's a fun movie, guys. It's not good, but it's fun. Um, like he said, there's things that happen that make you laugh. There's things that make you go, what are you talking about? And all of it together with, you know, the not breaking of the fourth wall, but yet saying what everyone in the audience is probably thinking, really kind of makes the movie come together. I don't know if they were being serious when they were making this movie, um, but it doesn't feel like they were. So take that with a grain of salt while you watch this movie, because if the production crew and everybody was having fun making this movie, have fun watching the movie.
Yeah.
Um, so I think for me, if I'm gonna give my rating out first, it's not a 7 Dwarven. It's not a bad Dwarven movie. It's For me, I'm gonna go with a 3. It's a 3 Dwarven Ring movie. It's bad, but it's funny bad, and it's a good, what was it, an hour and a half, right? It's a fun hour and a half or so.
Mhm. Yeah, I would agree wholeheartedly. I think for me, it was a two Dwarven Ring movie. The only reason why was because when I was watching it, I would agree with you. I thought it was a 3. And then I re listened to some of the parts where Jack was basically saying, like, why are we all doing this? Like, why would you even say that? And that made it even better for me. I was like, this is, you're right, breaking the fourth wall without actually breaking the fourth wall. There's no way they actually made this thinking this movie would be serious. Like, it would be crazy to do so. So I think I'd give it 2 Dwarven Rings.
All right, I appreciate that.
Hmm.
So final rating from M is a 3, and from
P, it's a 2.
all right. Um, Thank you everybody for watching this next episode. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. If you comment down below with a movie you want us to review, we'll review it. So hopefully, we can get some people involved. And thanks for watching.
Yep. Thanks. Take care, guys.
Peace.